When fans first heard about Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban's divorce, the shock wasn't just emotional, it was financial. Court documents revealed that both stars earn over $100,000 per month, which adds up to more than $1.2 million a year each. For most people, that's unimaginable. But here's the twist. Despite these massive incomes, neither Nicole nor Keith will pay child support. That's right. For two teenagers, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret, the courts decided money wouldn't be an issue. The reasoning? Their earnings are so high and comparable that the judge deemed support unnecessary. But it's not just about numbers, though. This revelation sent fans into a frenzy, sparking endless debates online. Some wondered, did money really smooth over this divorce? Or does it mask deeper tensions? Because in Hollywood, wealth can hide a lot of secrets, but it can't always fix broken relationships. Even with millions in the bank, the emotional toll of ending a 20-year marriage is something numbers can't measure. But here's what most people didn't realize. The financial details are just the surface. Behind the headlines, custody, court rules, and private agreements reveal a story far more complex than just dollars and cents. What seemed like a straightforward divorce is actually a carefully negotiated arrangement, balancing emotions, family, and public image. And just when you think you know the story, there's a surprising layer that fans weren't expecting. So, while the world was busy calculating their salaries, the real drama was unfolding behind closed doors. This isn't just a celebrity divorce. It's a glimpse into how fame, fortune, and family collide in ways most people will never experience. And trust me, the next parts will uncover details that are even more jaw-dropping than the money. Nicole and Keith married in June 2006, in a ceremony that seemed straight out of a fairy tale. Hollywood looked at them as a perfect couple, two talented, driven individuals supporting each other while maintaining careers at the highest level. Nicole, with her acclaimed acting career, and Keith, with his chart-topping music and awards, seemed inseparable. For years, tabloids rarely reported conflicts, and when they did, it was minor or trivial. But here's the truth behind public perception. 20 years is a long time, and even the strongest relationships face challenges. Traveling schedules, career pressures, and raising teenagers under constant media scrutiny create stress that's almost impossible to avoid. Fans love the idea of the perfect marriage, but perfection is usually a carefully curated image. Behind the smiling photos and red carpet appearances, there were signs that things weren't always harmonious. People close to the couple hinted that Nicole and Keith had private disagreements about time, priorities, and family decisions. While these details were never confirmed officially, it's normal in any long-term relationship to face friction, especially when fame is involved. The contrast between what the public saw and what happened in private created a tension that, over time, became harder to ignore. And it wasn't just minor arguments. Insiders say that both were growing in different directions personally and professionally. By the time the divorce filing came, many observers weren't entirely surprised. What shocked fans, however, was the suddenness of the public announcement. A marriage that lasted 2 decades seemed untouchable, and yet, in one official filing, it ended. And behind closed doors, things were already cracking. September 30th, 2025 was the day the world learned that Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban were officially ending their marriage. For fans, it was a shock. After 20 years together, the last thing anyone expected was a divorce filing. But for those who have followed Hollywood couples closely, there are always subtle signs that something might be off. Still, the public announcement made it feel sudden, almost unreal. How could a couple that seemed so perfect, so untouchable, just end? The court documents cited irreconcilable differences as the official reason. For anyone not familiar with legal terms, it's essentially a catch-all phrase. It doesn't explain what went wrong, but it gives the court a neutral, non-controversial basis for the split. And that vagueness is intentional. Celebrities often choose such language to avoid feeding tabloids or giving the media ammo for speculation. Yet, ironically, that lack of detail sparked even more gossip. Every fan, every entertainment journalist, immediately began piecing together what could have led to this moment. Even before the filing became public, insiders hinted at tension building for years. While Nicole and Keith appeared composed in interviews and public appearances, behind the scenes there were reportedly disagreements about priorities, family time, and long-term goals. Traveling for work, managing demanding careers, and raising teenagers in the spotlight is no small feat. Add to that the constant scrutiny of paparazzi and social media, and even the strongest couples can struggle to stay connected. What made this filing even more surprising wasn't just the fact of the divorce, it was the timing. Fans noticed that the split came after years of public appearances where Nicole and Keith seemed supportive and unified. Award shows, music events, and red carpet moments painted a picture of harmony, but appearances can be deceiving. As with many celebrity divorces, the public image is often carefully curated. The reality, as the filing revealed, was far more complex. Another element that caught attention down was how quietly it was handled. The announcement was official, but neither Nicole nor Keith made dramatic statements or social media posts expressing anger or blame. The lack of public conflict made the divorce seem almost clinical, a legal procedure rather than an emotional battle. Yet, this calm exterior doesn't necessarily reflect the emotional undercurrents. Sources told People magazine that Nicole had been trying to save the marriage, hinting that there was more to the story than a simple, mutual decision to part ways. And that's what makes this chapter of their story so compelling. A couple that appeared untouchable, whose relationship seemed flawless, quietly decided to go separate ways. While the court filing gives us the legal facts, the hints and whispers behind it suggest a far deeper narrative, one of effort, disappointment, and ultimately difficult choices. But reports suggest this wasn't as sudden as it looked. Behind every high-profile divorce, there's usually a story the public doesn't see. The private struggles, the quiet moments of desperation, and sometimes the last-ditch efforts to make things work. In the case of Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban, sources suggest that Nicole did not want this divorce. Reports claim she had been fighting, subtly but persistently, to save their 20-year marriage, even as the separation became inevitable. Nicole's attempt wasn't about grand gestures or public declarations. Instead, it was a combination of emotional appeals, private conversations, and efforts to bridge gaps in their relationship. Friends close to her have shared that she tried to remind Keith of the life they had built together, the family they had nurtured, and the love that had once defined their bond. But relationships, especially ones complicated by fame, money, and busy schedules, can be fragile, and sometimes effort alone isn't enough. It's important to note that these claims are based on insider reports and remain unverified. But framing it this way reveals a human side of the story that often gets lost in celebrity headlines. Behind the glamorous photos and red carpet smiles, Nicole was navigating heartbreak, uncertainty, and the fear of losing not just a partner, but a family structure that had been central to her life for 2 decades. The emotional weight of such a situation is almost unimaginable, especially under the constant scrutiny of fans and media. Meanwhile, Keith's perspective is less documented. While public appearances show him moving forward with dignity, insiders hint that the split had been on his mind for some time, indicating that Nicole's efforts, though heartfelt, may not have changed the trajectory. The situation paints a picture of quiet tension. 2 people who once shared everything, now struggling to align their paths. This part of the story also sheds light on the human complexities of marriage under extraordinary circumstances. It's easy to see celebrity divorces as distant, glamorous dramas, but the reality mirrors ordinary relationships in one critical way. Even with love, effort, and shared history, some things can't be forced. Nicole's fight to save the marriage shows vulnerability, courage, and the personal stakes involved, while reminding fans that behind the headlines are real people navigating real emotions. And yet, there's a twist that most viewers miss. While Nicole's attempts may not have succeeded in preserving the marriage, they likely influenced the terms of the divorce. Custody arrangements, financial settlements, and the non-disparagement agreements could all reflect an underlying desire to protect the family, even as the romantic relationship ended. In other words, Nicole's efforts may not have saved the marriage, but they shaped how it ended, quietly, carefully, and with consideration for the children. Still, the court documents revealed something even more surprising. When Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban's divorce became official, most fans were focused on the emotional side. The split of a 20-year marriage, the fate of their 2 daughters, and the quiet dignity with which both stars handled the announcement. But as court documents were released, it wasn't their emotions that caught attention. It was their massive incomes. Both Nicole, at 58, and Keith, at 57, reportedly earn over $100,000 per month, which translates to more than $1.2 million annually each. These numbers are staggering on their own, but in the context of a divorce, they reveal a fascinating legal detail. Neither parent will pay child support. In most divorces, child support is a major point of negotiation, often leading to months of tense discussion. But here, the court ruled it unnecessary, given that both parents are financially secure and earning at similar levels. This decision surprised many fans. After all, even in high-profile celebrity splits, financial considerations usually play a significant role in custody arrangements. But in Nicole and Keith's case, money was not a point of contention. The court seemed to prioritize fairness and practicality, acknowledging that both parents could easily provide for their daughters without additional support payments. Essentially, the wealth level of both stars made child support irrelevant, a rare scenario even in Hollywood. Beyond the numbers, this financial parity tells a bigger story. It highlights the couple's independence, their ability to maintain separate lives while still prioritizing their children, and the way fame and fortune can shape modern divorces. Unlike many cases where one parent struggles financially after a split, Nicole and Keith's arrangement ensures ensures that both children continue to enjoy stability and comfort, regardless of which parent they are with. But the salary reveal isn't just about money. It also adds an intriguing layer to the narrative of their divorce. Fans immediately began speculating. Did their comparable earnings prevent bitter financial disputes? Did it allow them to focus on custody and emotional matters rather than splitting assets down to the penny? These questions fuel the curiosity that keeps audiences engaged, because celebrity divorces are rarely this clean and calculated. And while the court documents reveal the numbers, they also hint at an underlying emotional reality. Money may ease certain pressures, but it doesn't resolve deeper issues like trust, communication, or long-standing emotional differences. Nicole and Keith's high incomes provide comfort and security, but they can't fix a marriage that has reached its breaking point. Rightero, but custody is where things get complicated. While the world focused on the staggering salaries of Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban, a more personal and emotionally charged story was unfolding behind the headlines. The custody arrangement for their two daughters, Sunday Rose, 17, and Faith Margaret, 14. In divorces, custody decisions often reveal the deepest insights into family dynamics, and in this case, the details were as precise as they were revealing. Nicole, the mother, was granted primary custody. That means she will be the primary caretaker, responsible for the daily routine, schooling, and general upbringing of the children. For many fans, this decision seemed predictable, given her long-standing role in managing the family's home life amidst her bustling acting career. But it's the specifics that make this arrangement particularly interesting. Keith Urban, on the other hand, has scheduled visitation every other weekend, from Saturday at 10 a.m. to Sunday at 6 p.m. While it might seem straightforward, this setup reflects a careful balance. The court clearly wanted to ensure both parents remain actively involved, while also maintaining stability in the children's everyday lives. By dividing time this way, the arrangement minimizes disruption while allowing Keith to spend meaningful moments with his daughters without overwhelming them or interfering with their school and social commitments. Holidays add another layer of nuance. Nicole will have the children on Mother's Day and over Easter, while Keith will spend Father's Day and Thanksgiving with them. At first glance, this seems standard, but it also highlights an underlying effort. Both parents are working to preserve traditions and meaningful experiences for their children, even as their marriage ends. This level of detail in a custody plan indicates thoughtful negotiation and a desire to minimize conflict. What sparked quiet debate among fans and insiders, however, was the perception of fairness and emotional impact. Some argued that Keith's limited weekends might not be enough to maintain a deep connection, while others praised the arrangement for providing structure and security. Additionally, the split subtly hints at the personalities and priorities of the parents. Nicole, the anchor of the household, remains central, while Keith maintains a supportive but slightly more distant role. This custody breakdown also connects to the broader narrative of the divorce. Money isn't the issue, but emotional and logistical balances. The arrangement seems designed to protect the children while acknowledging the realities of both parents' careers and personal lives, and it reflects an unspoken understanding. Despite the split, both Nicole and Keith are committed to maintaining their roles in their daughters' lives without conflict or public drama. And that's not the only rule they agreed to. Divorce is never just about splitting assets or deciding who gets the children. It's also about controlling the narrative, especially when celebrities are involved. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban, both used to living in the public eye, understood this all too well. Their divorce didn't just include custody and finances. It also came with a strict legal agreement designed to protect their family's privacy and ensure that both parents could continue to raise their children without interference from public drama. The core of this agreement is a non-disparagement clause. Essentially, Nicole and Keith have agreed not to speak negatively about each other or any family members, either publicly or privately. This may seem simple on paper, but in practice, it's a powerful tool. It prevents either party from making statements that could harm the other's reputation or influence the perception of the children. In celebrity culture, where tabloids and social media amplify every word, this clause helps keep personal matters out of the headlines. Equally important is their commitment to encourage their children to love the other parent and be comfortable in both families. While this might sound straightforward, it speaks volumes about their intentions. Nicole and Keith are effectively promising to maintain a united front in parenting despite their personal split. For teenagers like Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret, this stability can be crucial, offering reassurance that they won't be forced to choose sides or face emotional tension during visits or holidays. But beyond the legal text, this agreement hints at underlying tensions and priorities. Both parents recognize that the breakup could have lingering effects on their children, so the rules are designed to minimize exposure to conflict. It also shows that, despite years of marriage, they are willing to set aside personal grievances for the sake of family. This is is a delicate balance, maintaining dignity and privacy while navigating an emotionally charged transition. Fans and observers have speculated that such clauses are not only protective but also revealing. The need for strict agreements suggests that while the divorce is amicable on the surface, there were likely disagreements that required formal boundaries. These rules help prevent minor conflicts from escalating into public disputes, ensuring that the divorce process remains smooth and controlled. Ultimately, this agreement underscores a central theme in Nicole and Keith's story. Even when love ends, responsibility continues. They may no longer be partners romantically, but as co-parents, they are bound by a shared commitment to protect their children and maintain respect. It's a striking reminder that even the most public divorces can include thoughtful, structured arrangements aimed at reducing emotional harm. Since the split, their behavior has said even more. Once the divorce of Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban became official, the world waited eagerly for signs of how they would move forward. Would there be drama, public accusations, social media statements? Surprisingly, the answer was silence. And yet, this silence was loud in its own way, sending subtle messages to fans and media alike. Both stars have been making individual public appearances, maintaining their usual poise and professionalism, but always separately. Nicole continues to attend film events, premieres, and promotional engagements, while Keith is often spotted at music shows, award ceremonies, and charity events. On the surface, it looks like normal post-divorce life for busy celebrities. But fans and observers quickly notice something: the lack of public interaction between the two. No joint appearances, no casual Instagram posts, not even a shared acknowledgement of birthdays or milestones for the children. This quiet approach speaks volumes. By maintaining separate public lives, Nicole and Keith are protecting their privacy and minimizing potential drama. Every gesture, or lack thereof, becomes part of the narrative, and fans naturally speculate about what's happening behind the scenes. Is there lingering tension? Did emotions finally reach a breaking point? Or are they simply following the legal and emotional agreements designed to keep things calm for their daughters? The children, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret, also benefit from this approach. By avoiding public conflict, both parents ensure that the girls aren't dragged into the media frenzy. Every celebrity divorce carries the risk of emotional exposure for children, but Nicole and Keith seem committed to shielding their family from unnecessary scrutiny. Their actions, or deliberate inactions, show a conscious effort to separate personal matters from public life, a strategy that can preserve dignity and reduce long-term stress. At the same time, the silence fuels curiosity and speculation. Fans dissect every appearance, every photo, and every social media update, trying to read between the lines. Headlines like "Nicole spotted alone at premiere" or "Keith performed solo at award show" suddenly feel like pieces of a larger puzzle. The mystery keeps audiences engaged, and in the world of celebrity news, curiosity is one of the most powerful drivers of attention. What's even more fascinating is the subtle balance both maintain between moving forward and maintaining connection. While physically separate, they adhere strictly to the non-disparagement clauses and co-parenting commitments. This creates a paradoxical situation. They are apart, yet connected through shared responsibility, through public perception, and through the quiet consistency of respecting boundaries. In short, Nicole and Keith's life after the split is a study in restraint, strategy, and emotional control. Their silence, far from being empty, is packed with meaning, hinting at reconciliation, heartbreak, responsibility, or simply acceptance. And for fans, it's a reminder that sometimes what's unsaid speaks louder than anything ever spoken, which leaves fans asking one final question. After 20 years of marriage, millions in combined income, and a family that seemed perfectly balanced, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban's split left fans wondering one thing: what really went wrong? The public has pieces of the puzzle: the court filings, custody arrangements, salary disclosures, and carefully worded statements. But as with many celebrity divorces, the true story lies somewhere between fact, speculation, and subtle personal dynamics that remain hidden from view. The official reason, irreconcilable differences, gives little away. It doesn't explain the years of effort, the attempts to reconcile, or the emotional strain each endured. Reports suggest Nicole fought to save the marriage, yet even her best efforts couldn't reverse the trajectory. Perhaps it was a gradual drifting apart, a slow accumulation of stress, or the inevitable divergence of personal and professional paths. Whatever the cause, the split seems to have been mutual in respect, if not in desire, creating a careful, structured ending rather than a dramatic, public battle. Financial equality played a role too. With both earning over $1.2 million annually, disputes over money were virtually non-existent. Child support wasn't an issue, custody was thoughtfully arranged, and public appearances remained dignified. In many ways, their wealth provided a cushion that allowed the divorce to focus on family stability rather than financial conflict, a rarity in Hollywood. But money alone couldn't repair emotional distance or bridge the differences that had quietly grown over 2 decades. Custody and parental agreements further illustrate the balance they were striving to maintain. Nicole retains primary custody. Keith has scheduled visitation, and both are legally obligated to encourage their daughters to love and respect the other parent. Non-disparagement clauses and carefully negotiated rules show that, despite separation, there is a shared commitment to minimizing emotional harm. The children are protected, routines are maintained, and both parents continue to fulfill their roles, a testament to the thoughtfulness underlying the legal process. Yet, even with all these measures, the story carries an element of mystery. Fans speculate endlessly. Was it irreconcilable differences in personality? Was one spouse simply ready to move on? Were career pressures a hidden factor? Or did the distance created by fame and public scrutiny slowly erode what once seemed unbreakable? The truth may never be fully revealed, and perhaps that's part of why the divorce fascinates so many. It's both intimate and unknowable. Ultimately, Nicole and Keith's story is a reminder that marriage, no matter how seemingly perfect, is complex. Love, effort, and history don't always guarantee a forever ending. Yet, even as they part ways, the respect, structure, and thoughtfulness surrounding this divorce offer a glimmer of hope, that endings can be managed with dignity, that family bonds can persist, and that even the most public splits can be handled with care. In the end, we're left with a mix of facts and curiosity, a story of wealth, fame, love, and quiet resilience. And while fans may debate what went wrong, one thing is clear. Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban have redefined what a modern, high-profile divorce can look like: calm, calculated, and centered on family above all else.